a deep and abiding friendship and collaboration. So thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Richard, it's a pleasure as always. Thank you for having me. And thank you everybody for turning out. It's a great, how many people do we have in the room? It's a great turnout.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18.
Excellent. Welcome everybody and good morning again. Just to make sure, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Brilliant. And can you still see me as well?
Yes.
Okay, great. I always like to double check that before we start because I want to make sure that everything's working properly with the technology. So yes, my name is Christian Oye. I'm the co-founder of Study Abroad Association. We started in 2009 with the main purpose of making programs more accessible to students and faculty, especially with the focus on two-year institutions, community colleges, and making sure that more students and faculty can have these life-enriching experiences. So this is our passion. We love what we do. We've loved our relationship with Harper so far, and we look forward to collaborating with you and much more in the future. Just gonna make sure here. Perfect. So Rich, just to make sure I understand, everybody in attendance today, the main focus of this, in addition to the faculty-led workshop, is also to discuss possibilities in Asia. Is that correct? Is it more of a global?
Yeah, no, Asia is our global region of focus, and hopefully these faculty will be knocking down your door to create programs in Asia. The course itself has a focus on South Asia.
Okay. Okay, perfect. All right, well, let's get started, guys. So this is the Faculty-Led Study Abroad 101. The goal of this is basically to give you from A to Z ideas to make your program a reality, how we can help promote those programs, how we can make this trip very unique to you to match your goals, and most importantly, how we can get more students engaged to make sure that it's a successful trip. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. So this is just a little bit of overview of everything we're going to cover. More or less, it's around 45 minutes, but I also like to keep it very interactive. So feel free to jump in, questions, ideas, etc. This is, I want to hear a lot from you guys as well. And then basically, each slide will have an opportunity to go back and forth and share ideas. Does that sound good?
Good, thank you.
All right, let's go. So everybody sitting in the room, you are the faculty. This is faculty-led study abroad. So you are the most important component to these programs, okay? You are the reason if the trip makes or if it doesn't make. You are the energy, you're the engine behind it. What we want to do is to work with you to give you ideas, suggestions, etc., on how we can make this trip, bring your class, your course syllabus to life, okay, and whatever destination that might be. So in Southeast Asia, if we're going to Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, etc., or if we're going to be going, further north, India, Japan, China, when everything's under control, South Korea, etc. So you are the most important part of this. And we are here with you now, a year and a half in advance, until you return after your program. You have full access. So you'll be working with myself. You'll also be working with Leonardo, the other co-founder, who is calling in from Italy. Leo, would you like to say hello?
Hi, everyone. How you all doing?
Good, Leo. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you. Hi, Richard. I'm in mute here. Yes, greetings from Italy. We are all working from home, but we all still positive. We haven't lost our motivations here.
Thank you.
Leo is on house arrest for the next 3 weeks.
Yes, that's why I don't put on my camera. You don't want to see me on my house outfit.
His quarantine uniform.
Yeah, quarantine.
Okay, guys, so just to hop in and continue. Thank you, Leo. Feel free to jump in at any time to add in ideas. So guys, with making sure that programs are successful, it's absolutely essential to get started as early as possible. The reason that we want to get started as early as possible is this is going to allow us time to craft the perfect itinerary for you, to make sure that everything can work smoothly. And most importantly, that students will have time to save up for these experiences, okay? So the programs that tend to make and that are successful normally start around 18 months to 12 months prior to departure, where we start to have initial conversation with the faculty. Okay, where do you want to go? Why do you want to go there? And what is the focus of the program? So right now is the absolute perfect time to look at 2021. I know everything going on globally right now, there's a big gray cloud over travel in general, international travel, et cetera. But it's very important that we don't lose sight of this timeline and what we need to plant our seeds now for the programs to be a success next year. So this is all going to pass, and for sure next year we'll be able to have these opportunities. Okay, so optimal timeline.
Can I jump in for 1 second, Christian?
Please.
So I just want to say that, as you know, all of this has been up in the air with the Faculty Senate and with the administration. We have agreed to continue to accept faculty applications for next year, so that in the event that we're able to run programs, we will be ready. The deadline is actually today. Those of you who are participating in this are aware of it, and we're finalizing certain details. But just so that you know, travel is banned. We are under house arrest to some extent in terms of international travel, but it doesn't mean that next year we aren't putting in place those mechanisms to allow certain programs to happen. So we're working under the assumption that things are going to get better and that we'll be able to continue these programs. And at the moment, we have at least 3, possibly 4 applications for programs next year, and we hope that they're going to run.
Excellent.
I just wanted to insert that because there is a lot of uncertainty right now.
Sorry, shame we can't buy our plane tickets now.
Yeah, I know, right?
For a year out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Rich. So guys, basically, yes, 18 to 12 months, that's when we want to start to finalize program ideas and submit those to the Office of International Education, the OIE, I believe you call it at Harper. And so Rich will be your point of contact for that. 12 months to 9 months prior to departure, that's when we're going to start to finalize the marketing materials for the program. So that way we can promote this to the students. And between that window, the 12 months to 9 months, that's when we can really go ahead and finalize the airfare, right? So regarding airfare, normally you can request a quote 11 months prior to departure. That's when the airlines will open up the space for us to be able to get a group contract and to sit on that space. Now, what we do as a team, once we secure that space, we flag that flight, and then we continue to look for more affordable deals throughout the year with better connections, et cetera, so we can even lower the cost for your students, ideally. That's the main purpose of this. Keep it as accessible and as affordable as possible. 3 months prior to departure, this is when we need to make sure that the program reaches a minimum, okay? So we need to have 10 travelers traveling on the same contract, the group flight contract, to be able to secure that space. So it's very important that 100 days prior to the trip, we reach the minimum of 100 travelers. And again, as I mentioned earlier, our job is to help you do that with everything we can, sharing promotional materials, resources, information sessions, etc. So that way we can make sure that we get to that minimum of 10. 1 month prior to departure, 4 weeks to 6 weeks before you fly out, we'll have an information session like this. We'll host it as a webinar. So that way if students aren't able to actually come on campus all at one time, then we'll be able to record the session. You guys can access all that. But that's where we get to know each other, and that's where we go over the essentials for the trip, the do's, the don'ts, making sure that everybody's ready to travel, answering all the questions that they might have. And it's a really great opportunity to have some icebreakers with the students, and for you to get to know your students if you haven't met them yet in person. Okay, so that's the optimal timeline. Okay, so very important, choosing destinations. Where, when, why, okay? So basically deciding where you're gonna go. Obviously, the main purpose of this is deciding, is this destination, one, safe? Is it within budget? Is it cost effective for the students? Is it popular with the student body? Is it a destination that students really are interested in going to? That's important. And most importantly, making sure that that destination that we're gonna go to really complements your curriculum and your course, right? When are we going to go there? So are we going during high season? For example, Japan this summer, we had quite a few programs that were going to be there around the Olympic time. So you have to weigh this out. Is the experience going, is it going to impact the cost? Are there other times that would be ideal? Are we going during that time where it might be, the rainy season? How's the weather going to be? These are all very important in deciding when we're going to go to the destination. And most importantly, why? Why are we going to that destination, right? And ideally, that destination is going to complement your course, and it's going to allow that syllabus to come to life. The students are going to be able to have a really nice field experience, okay? In doing all this, you have the OIE's curriculum worksheet. Rich, do you want to talk a little bit about that, the curriculum worksheet?
So one of the first steps that faculty have to complete in order to bring about a successful application is to meet with our office staff. And the first thing we do, especially for faculty who've never done this before, we have a curriculum worksheet that allows you to sort of think through the connection of the curriculum with the site, the location, and anticipate sort of lesson plans and those kinds of things. I had meant to bring a worksheet. I will post it in the Blackboard site, but that's what this is in reference to.
Okay, excellent, thank you. So as we understand, since all of your courses are customized, you create your syllabus, right, many times. We want to do the same with the program, okay? One size does not fit all with international education, everything that we do is craft. We sit down with the faculty, we have a call, we have a video conference, we discuss with you, what are your program goals? What are you trying to achieve? What is essential to your trip? And then we connect with our local on-ground teams and our resources, experts in the field, to build an experience that is very, very unique, memorable, authentic, and try to avoid a tour bus style experience and really have a lot of field experience. So, local university visits, opportunities to engage with local students in the country, local professors in the country that we're visiting, and have the opportunity to have discussions between the students and the professors, et cetera. Unique site visits, all of these kind of things, right? This goes into customizing your program. And most importantly, when we're customizing your program, let's make sure that it's realistic, realistic in what can we really do within this window, and making sure that the flow of the itinerary is very nice, and that by the end of the trip, everybody's not just completely exhausted and overwhelmed, but they also had time to stop, take a breath, and really enjoy being there, okay? When you're looking at length of program, it's important that you understand your student body. Do you have a student body that are, they're working students, right? So if they're working students, they have family commitments, et cetera. How long can they be gone out of the country? This is important to analyze this and to compare. Typically with 2-year institutions, I recommend going for programs that are, within the two week period, 12 nights in country, 14 nights in country. The reason I say 14 nights is because if you're 14 days in the country, the students can go after the Gilman Scholarship. The Gilman Scholarship is excellent. They actually provide, but it's crazy because many students, they don't apply for this when they should, because they award typically 30% of the applicants receive some type of funding. That can go from, a few $100s all the way up to $5,000 if they're studying a language is labeled as a critical language. And since we're talking about Asia today, many of the destinations in Asia, in Southeast Asia as well, and other parts of the region, those languages do qualify as a critical language where they want more students to study those languages. So Gilman Scholarship's excellent. And again, if we do want to go for that, we need to make sure that the program's 14 days in country. Also, I think that if we're traveling all the way to Asia, I think 14 days is about right, because you don't want to travel 24 hours, 30 hours all the way there and then only be there for 1 week. We want to go there and have really an immersive experience. Now, obviously, if you're looking at a language immersion program, then programs that are a bit longer, 1 month, 6 weeks, for example, these are programs that are more appropriate for language immersion, obviously, because you want them to be able to immerse with their local families or at the local school and really retain a lot of new information and come back home. When you're customizing your program, the style of the program that you design is obviously going to have is going to affect the cost. It's going to have an impact on that. So the most affordable programs would be city stay programs. That's where we go to one city. Normally it's the capital city or the second biggest city in the country. And we use that as our base. We use that as our base, and we really immerse ourselves in the local life there. And then we have weekend excursions, you know, site visits and stuff like this. These are the most affordable programs because while we're there, we can take advantage of a week-long transportation pass. We can negotiate with the places of accommodation to give us a reduced rate since we're staying, you know, 1 week or 2 weeks in that location. And it really allows the students to build a deeper connection with that location. So I am a huge fan of city stay programs. However, I understand that often when you're building your course, you might need to see multiple regions of that country to really have a deeper understanding of whatever that course focus or area of study might be. So cross country, that's what I'm referring to here. That might be a program where you're visiting Tokyo and you're also visiting, Kyoto in the south, for example, right? And you're visiting different regions within that country. And then multi-country. So you're actually visiting different countries within a region. Now, multi-country is obviously going to be programs that are a bit more expensive because there is a lot of additional travel, right? There might be internal flights, it might be additional trains, etc. So, or boats, ferries. So keeping all of that in mind when you're customizing your program is essential because it's going to have an impact on the cost, okay? Daily layout. What are we going to do with our allocated time with our day, right? Is half the day going to be field experience, cultural site visits, museums, etc.? Do we need classroom space? Are you going to actually be teaching your students while we're there? Or is it going to be more experiential learning where we're using our surroundings as the classroom? How do you want to lay out your day? Do you want to give the students free time each day where they can go explore on their own in pairs, for example? Are we going to have evening debriefings and discussions? I think it's essential that every morning we get everybody together after breakfast or at breakfast and we talk about, guys, this is what we're going to do today. This is how you need to pack. This is what you need to be prepared for, etc. Okay. Now, when building your itinerary, please keep in mind, in my opinion, less is more. Okay. Often we'll have a request and it's not realistic how much they want to fit in within that window, right? So keep in mind, less is more because there's going to be many opportunities that present themselves, cultural activities, celebrations, holidays that might take place while we're visiting that country that, we might not have been aware of before, but then when we're there, we say, oh, this event is happening. So having that freedom and that flexibility and being able to move the itinerary around these special, unique events is really essential. And then obviously you want to work with a organization that's going to listen to you and is going to really help you achieve your goals. Okay. Like Rich mentioned earlier, Study Abroad Association, we're a partner with Harper. So we would love to listen to your ideas and help you bring that to reality. Does anybody have any questions right now about this topic, customizing your program? Any questions at all? No? Okay.
This is our A team. This is the genius class, the honor section. So
that's perfect.
You're doing, this is
High
great.
standards. Wow.
I would just mention that I think that daily layout piece, those of you who have taken students overseas, that's a crucial piece. It's also been a function when we've taken faculty overseas, thinking about what that day looks like.
Yeah.
And that's a crucial piece to sort of anticipate people's levels of engagement and energy and those kinds of things. Have they eaten? Well, do you have bathroom breaks? All those kinds of stuff. In faculty, that became a really crucial point we had to negotiate at a certain point. So, but yeah, anyway, thank you.
How many hours of sleep did they get?
How many hours exactly? Right.
Yeah, I try not to schedule bathroom breaks on the itinerary, meaning that like, okay, 1 p.m., everybody, obviously, as you guys know, travel, you have to remain flexible. You have to go with the flow. And if you're not able to go with the flow and be flexible, then, it might not be the optimal experience. And guys, again, feel free to say, hey, Christian, I've got a question. Feel free to jump out, okay? Now, guys, one thing when building your itineraries with you, we want to take this opportunity and we want to build something exceptional, okay? We don't want to have just an ordinary, generic experience. We want to have an extraordinary, life-enriching, transformative learning experience for these students. We want to have experiences with a lot of wow factor, things that these students, you know, what makes this country unique? What can we do here that's unique that they've never done before that's really special about that country? That's what we want to focus on. So we want to work with our local experts, our local connections to really make sure that these experiences are available and that they're a big part of your program in addition to whatever else you're studying, whatever the area of study is. We want to make sure that there's a lot of wow factor experiences, okay? So when we're building the itinerary, let's get creative. Let's think outside of the box a little bit and we say, what could take this itinerary to another level? What can make this even more enjoyable and more impactful for these students? So something I mentioned earlier, something that we really love to do is local university visits. I think when you have, you know, students from the States and students from Japan sitting in a classroom, open discussion, it's incredible what comes out of these experiences, especially if the local students have the same area of study as whatever your course is. It's really amazing. So as much as possible, we like to get you into the local educational institutions, have opportunity for open discussion with local professors, local students, and really have that inter-exchange. And we can talk a lot more about that in detail later on. Let's see here. Cultural events, festivals, and conferences. Yeah, and then, sorry, I got distracted. There was a screen that popped up. But yeah, hands-on opportunities, hands-on education. For example, this is Nagima. She's in Peru right here. And they were visiting an organic, fair trade Peruvian coffee farm plantation. And right there, they're learning where the coffee comes from, but then they go through the whole process of, you know, collecting the beans, removing the outer layers, drying them, later roasting them, grinding them, and finally drinking coffee. And they did every step of the way, right? These kind of experiences. Visiting local markets, send the group, split them up in the groups and say, okay, guys, here are the ingredients for this local dish that we're going to cook together tonight. Everybody's split into small teams of 4, for example. Go negotiate with the local, the local market providers there. Get all the necessary ingredients, bring them back, and we're going to make a traditional local dish tonight, right? Site visits, of course, business visits, cultural site visits, etc. Let's get into these really unique and special places. And then obviously if it's a language immersion program, let's look at opportunities for, staying with host families, obviously that have been screened and that we have good relationships with, and let's look for that. Also, a very unique thing that you can do when appropriate is to look at incorporating service learning into your programs, some volunteer opportunities, meaningful volunteer opportunities, and most importantly, listening to the local people. What do you need? How can we assist? How can we help? Often the easiest way to do that, which a lot of groups love and a lot of local schools love, is our students doing English exchange with the local students. It's a way to give back. It's a way to engage, and it's a very unique experience that they really enjoy. Do you guys have any questions about these? Like this slide, making a really special experience. Does anybody have anything they want to share?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Where are the contacts coming from to set up these experiences? Where is this based on your institution's resources, or where are the contacts coming from?
Excellent question. So how do we build our on-ground teams? So for the past 10 years, we've spent, Leo and I, normally around 8 months out of the year on the road, building programs, building on-ground teams, scouting guides. Everybody that we work with is part of our family. We spend a lot of time scouting resources. I was a Rotary exchange student in Slovakia after high school, and I went back and I did my university there after that experience. The local Rotary Club is something I always like to utilize, especially if it's a new destination, a new program. I'll contact the local Rotary Club, and the members of that club are normally leaders in the community, business leaders, philanthropists, etc. and they have excellent connections with local universities, etc. So that's what we do. We spend about a year scouting beforehand, the guides, building the on-ground team. And like I said, most of our destinations, we have 27 destinations that we operate in where we have on-ground staff who are part of the Study Abroad Association family. And each year we add around two new destinations to keep up with demand and add diversity. So yeah, that's basically. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have a program to prepare students from different cultures to interact with each other? Because misperceptions could lead to conflicts or issues, especially around volunteering, where maybe the US students think they, especially dealing with maybe in less developed countries, where they think they are going to save people from another culture, and from that culture perhaps thinking that these are very wealthy tourists who can get all this money and so on.
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. It's so important with our students prior to travel that we have these pre-trip sessions where we can talk about intercultural differences, what is considered polite, what is considered not polite in certain destinations, and that we have these conversations. We really encourage you to, and if you need assistance with this, we're so happy to help you find the appropriate resources. But really what we want to do is have pre-trip reading materials, things like this, focused on cultural differences, what is expected, like I said, what is considered appropriate on ground, et cetera, and to have all of this and to set the expectations prior to travel. I think another way that we can do that, if you're open to this idea, is, prior to the trip, if we have a connection with the local university there that you would like to incorporate that in your program, we can have pre-trip sessions like this where, imagine that you're all students right here in Harper. Let's imagine that you guys are a class. We can Skype in, Zoom in, and have a virtual experience with a classroom in whatever destination we might be going to, maybe in India, for example, in Delhi. And we have these pre-trip conversations. And so they get to know each other prior to meeting the students in real life. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Okay. But absolutely, guys. I think understanding the cultural differences and making sure that we represent, the United States, Harper, Illinois in a appropriate way abroad. I think that's absolutely essential. We're there to absorb and to learn as much as possible while sharing. And we don't expect, if we go to a country, we don't expect people to modify to us. We go there to modify to them and to do as the locals do, right? That's for me, that's the most important thing. And I'm happy to discuss that in further detail with everyone about how we can do that in an appropriate way. Program budget, guys, this is the most important thing because students want to have these experiences. Travel, more and more students are traveling every year, and that's an amazing thing for the industry. But we need to look at how we can keep this accessible. How can we keep these programs under that $3,000? How can we add value but lower cost, right? So understanding cost and what's involved in your itinerary is important to being able to trim the fat of is this really essential to the experience? Is this really essential to what we're trying to do? And if the answer is no, it's not, it's more of just kind of an enjoyable, expensive recreational activity, then maybe we might want to say, okay, let's pull that out and we can leave that as an optional activity during free time for students who might have, bigger budgets, right? So accommodation types. I'll be honest with you guys. A lot of schools will ask me, Christian, what's the most affordable way that we can drive costs down while increasing authenticity? And I said, well, okay, are you guys open to staying in top-rated, clean, safe, secure youth hostels? And they said, absolutely. I said, okay, great. So we can have four students in a quad dorm with a private bathroom. They have this kind of summer camp experience. We do this with Valencia College in Orlando. And the trick was setting the expectations with the students from the very beginning. So there's not that shock factor, setting the expectations. And then when they arrive there, they say, oh, wow, this is actually amazing. I met international people from all around the world. I have a deeper connection with my travel, with the pupils that I'm traveling with. And now I really want to go stay in these places when I travel on my own in the future, right? So accommodation types, local host families. Do we really need to stay in big chain hotels with, the only interaction we're having is with the television in the room? Is this essential, right? Or would we rather stay in family-run guest houses, things like this? So understanding accommodation, not sacrificing quality, and weighing those options, okay? Transportation, are we gonna have a private big bus coach, or are we gonna do as the locals do, and we're gonna utilize public transportation, and we're really gonna enable our students to have them become independent, smart travelers for the future? For me, if public transportation is available and it's safe, it's secure, and it's punctual, then I say let's do it. Now, obviously, some destinations, the public transportation is not ideal. The buses might not run on a regular schedule. There's not enough space in the buses to be able to have a group of 10, 15, whatever. So we have to look at transportation types. If it is available, I would say let's go public transportation all the way. And let's have these students really learn how to do as the locals do, the local way, the local life. Included activities, we talked about this earlier. Do all these activities that we're including in the itinerary add value to the curriculum of the itinerary? Is it essential to the experience? And if the answer is no, then we might want to reconsider if it's essential keeping there or not, and then moving that out, lowering the cost, right? More often than not, authentic equals affordable, and affordable equals authentic. So I would say the more authentic we can keep your program, the lower the cost is going to be, because we don't want to have a tourist type of experience. We want to be able to have an immersive experience, right? And do as the locals do. Professor to student ratio. Rich, what's Harper's internal policies for professor to student ratio?
So we don't have a professor to student ratio per se, but we send 2 faculty with every program.
Okay.
And typically enrollment has to reach double digits.
Okay.
For the class to run. There's a lead faculty who is the discipline content area specialist. And then there is a second faculty who is there primarily for risk management and assistance.
As backup. Okay, great. Love it. I think having 2 faculty on a program is a great idea. It helps, if one of the students becomes ill for any reason, then that faculty and one of our local guides can take them to the clinic and have that taken care of so the program can continue to run. I think that's great. So yeah.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm just making a reference to an example. We have 2 faculty who have taken students overseas, and one faculty ended up staying behind with a student because the student had lost their passport and needed to get it renewed. And it was, there are 2 faculty who were crucial there.
I've had this experience a few times, not personally myself, because my passport's always with me at all times. But we have had travelers in that exact same situation. And, you have to wait till the consulate opens up a couple of days from now. So yeah, I think 2 is great. I think it's secure. So, but when we discuss this, if it's going to be 14 students and 2 professors, because the professor's program, your program is complementary. Okay. Your airfare, your private room, and your on-ground program, that's included in the program price. Okay. So whatever we decide that ratio to be, that's going to have an effect on the final cost, obviously, right? Is the 2,500, Rich? Is that that's what you encourage faculty to shoot for? Is that correct? That's OIE.
That's our typical price point, excluding tuition. Yes. Yes.
So 2,500 is possible. We have to keep in mind that airfare to Asia is more expensive than airfare to Central America, to Europe, etc. But yes, I think it's essential to try to come in under that 3 mark and try to hit the 2,500 if possible, but come in under that 3, because statistically programs that go over 3,000 have much lower enrollment. Yeah. So any questions, guys, about program budget and ways to keep costs down? No? All right. So keep on going. So after we've gone back and forth, we've taken your ideas, we've crafted this itinerary. that's when you present it to the Office of International Education at Harper, and then you'll go through the necessary forms with them to have the green light provided for the program. Rich, do you want to talk a little bit about that, since it's kind of more on your side?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, any arrangement between SAA and Harper College goes through our office. So we tend to be the intermediary with the providers, the vendors. The faculty is key in creating the curriculum, advising on the itinerary, but we really end up becoming the bargaining, negotiating entity, if you will, with our partners. And the points that you see there are key elements of that. These are not necessarily things that you need to be overly concerned with: cancellation rates, cancellation dates, refund policies, et cetera. Those are part of the sort of back and forth between the vendor and us. And we look after that. The detailed itinerary and itemized budget breakdown are crucial to the success of the program. But again, those are fairly well spelled out prior to this point, but it is at the finalizing point. And then you just, you're working with us to make sure that everything is as you want it. And then the Office of International Education works with the provider, with SAA, to make sure that everything is conforming with our own risk management, our own budget practices, our accounting practices, and all of the behind the scenes stuff that's really tedious, we take care of.
Rich, I have a question. What about financial aid or scholarships for students? How does that work?
So financial aid is applicable towards tuition in particular.
Mhm.
There are, as Christian mentioned, there are outside scholarships, but we also have $8,000 of alumni scholarships dedicated to study abroad as well. So there are a lot of different opportunities. We work with, there is a financial aid worksheet that we have to fill out, that students then take the financial aid, and then they're able to negotiate based on their individual package what their financial aid will look like for this particular course. So there are a lot of moving pieces, but the college has been pretty good about making it work. We have probably, I would say, about 70% of the students who study abroad either receive scholarships and or are on financial aid.
Great work, guys. All right, program promotion. So we've gone through all this. We've developed an amazing itinerary. We've selected destination. We've gone through the entire approval process. The Office of International Education says, "All right, let's do it." Now it's time to promote the program. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to provide you promotional materials that go in line with Harper College's branding. Really attractive, eye-catching, posters, et cetera, like this to help promote the program. These are some tips that, Rich, that we had discussed, like things that you can do internally to help increase awareness about the programs. But I have an entire side presentation that I can send to all of you, but it's called 10 Steps Guaranteed to Increase Study Abroad Participation, and they're very effective and they work. One of our colleagues who's on the line, James, he implemented those techniques in he's a professor in one of his programs where he took a group to Paris, and it went from very low enrollment from around 8 students to 45 students within a week. So these are all things that are effective that we've researched, and we're happy to help you guys do that.
That's incredible. Thanks. We would appreciate sharing that, and maybe we negotiate another workshop with James at some point. That's
Sure.
amazing.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Very briefly to touch on some of the bullet points there that are local, if you will.
Yeah.
The biggest impact that we have noticed on campus with the success of programs is the departmental support for programs. If you are an isolated individual within the department, sort of shouting into the void, it's very difficult to get to meet enrollment. It depends entirely on your own sort of energies, imagination, and creativity and outreach. We try to build support within departments and have found that if all the faculty are on board with promoting a particular program in a department, they tend to run. Sometimes that's a challenge. Sometimes you're competing with other classes. Sometimes you're competing with other interests. But we would like to build this sort of study abroad culture on campus. It isn't too long ago that study abroad was considered this sort of elitist enterprise. And what we've struggled, what we've worked very hard to sort of achieve is this idea that really it ought to be an aspect, particularly at a community college, that is affordable and accessible to all of our students. And so between the scholarships, between financial aid, between trying to reach out to different constituencies on campus, we've really tried to change the rhetoric around study abroad, not only in terms of its elitism, but also that it's junior year abroad. Why can't it be second semester, third semester, fourth semester at Harper College? We can do it a lot more efficiently, productively, and financially responsibly.
Yeah, that's great. And, really building that study abroad culture on your campus is essential. And that's something that I'm happy to brainstorm on, with you and really help everybody in the room with, reach out, say, Christian, what can I do do you have ideas where I can help, get this program into the eyes of more students? And yeah, we can suggest many effective ways to do that. And just students want to have these opportunities. It's just the trick is bringing awareness to these opportunities. So pre-trip orientation meeting, this is what I was talking about earlier with the timeline, the optimal timeline. We're going to do this, at least 4 weeks prior to travel. And at this time, if the time difference allows, obviously, Asia, we're looking at almost like a 12-hour time difference. So if the time difference allows, we like to also have your group leader, your country manager, who's going to be with you from airport pickup to airport drop off with you 24/7. We like to have them come in and like I'm doing now and, say hello, get to know the group, share a little bit more in detail what the students are going to be experiencing to kind of already have that connection prior, right? But yeah, these are necessary items that we need to go over. And most importantly, just prepare the students for this experience. I really like to focus on packing because I find that, often our travelers are first-time international travelers and they just bring way too much, so we try to avoid the 6-month suitcase packing and especially when locations that we're visiting have much smaller areas and spaces than we might be used to in the United States, or there's not elevators available. And so I try to avoid that experience of the student creating this massive 75-pound suitcase up these stairs for 4 flights of stairs. And, we want to be mobile. We want to be quick. We want to be efficient. We want to be able to get into public transportation, not take up the whole train because of our luggage, so it can be a little cumbersome. We try to remove that. But yeah, do's and don'ts, electricity, what to do about money, debit cards, calling your banks. Do you have your passport? You better have your passport, all of these kind of things. And most importantly, emergency protocol. What are we going to do? Speaking on emergency protocol and risk while abroad, something that we really like to do is to set up a WhatsApp group for the WhatsApp group chat with the group and get everybody inside of that chat prior to travel. It's really great, especially when the students go for free time in small pairs and groups, because for some reason, if they become lost or whatever it is, they can share their location instantly within that group. And we're able to go swoop them up and continue as planned, right? So, but anyway, that's a very informative session. It's normally around 1 hour, and I think it's absolutely essential to do this prior to the trip, because by doing this, we can really avoid a lot of potential issues while we're out of the country. On-ground briefings. So, we did the pre-trip orientation. Now they've traveled. They're in a new destination. They're completely confused because of the time difference, et cetera. We like to get everybody sat down once we arrive and have another on-ground briefing. Make sure that everybody's ready. They know where they are. Orientation to the local area, where are the local clinics, hospitals, what to do in case of any type of emergency, where are we going to meet, and what is ABC after that, right? Yeah, and so most importantly, morning briefings. This is what we're going to do today. This is what you need, everybody. And then also in the evening, checking in on everybody. Are you comfortable? Are you okay? Is anybody feeling sick? Is there anything that you want to, that we can do to provide a better service for you? And that's the first thing. Leo and I, we still lead quite a few trips. With our local on-ground team, we're still present in that. It's our passion. It's what we love to do. So me personally, I tell everybody, like, from the get-go, right when we're in the, right when we're sitting down in the, in the lobby or the hostel common space, I let everybody know, guys, if there's any issues at all, please let me know now instead of later, because we want to be receptive. We want to fix it for you immediately so you can have the optimal experience. Does anybody have any? Yeah, go ahead. Please. Yeah.
So the evening discussions are very key to Mukila's point a little bit ago about intercultural competency. That's a great time if you have built into your curriculum prior to departure, prior to the trip, you've built in readings, conversations around these types of issues, then while you're there is a great time to sort of revisit them and participate in that kind of intercultural learning. And then followed up at the end on the return with assignments that are connected back to that. So that can be a vein, a theme, an aspect of your curriculum as well.
Yeah, and that's an excellent time to knock out some of those contact hours, right? So, like, if we know that each evening we have a 1 hour or 2 hour group discussions, like, how's the experience been, open table discussions, it's really great. The students love it. They love to share, like, wow, how this has impacted me, etc. Those can count towards your contact hours. So, if you have a 12-day program and we're doing this for 2 hours each night, then we've got 24 hours right there covered, so we can help you structure the daily flow to make sure that you satisfy those contact hours without an issue. Okay. Post-trip. So this is very, very important. We provided this amazing experience. We've gone from the meeting today to promoting the program to actually having the experience. Now, when everybody comes back, this is essential. We cannot forget to do this. This is when we need to collect feedback from all the travelers, collect feedback from the professors, how the on-ground teams performed, collect feedback on how our internal team performed, account managers, etc. Collect all that feedback, evaluate that, improve, right? It's a great time to collect testimonials from students that we can use for promotion on your campus, because students, they say, oh, I know her. She's in class with me. Wow, she had this amazing experience in Japan. I want to do that. Word of mouth, right? Study abroad ambassadors on your campus. It's really essential to use those students to help promote future programs by word of mouth. Taking these testimonials that we've collected, putting them inside of the campus newspaper so more students can see, with this group here, what they were doing in Rome, for example. Look at the itinerary. How can we modify it? How can we make it better? Was the pace too much? Was it not enough? Review, improve, repeat. Okay. And that's an absolutely essential piece of the program, is to have that in-depth evaluation at the end, so we can learn and we can grow and we can evolve. Right? Any questions, guys, about that?
I'm going to jump in one more time. Sorry, being really obnoxious. But we also have the Office of International Education publishes a blog, and most study abroad programs include a sort of daily blog component, and that's another way that we can really sort of highlight these experiences. That it's both sort of an advertisement, if you will, for future programs, but it's also a dimension of their own academic experience through the course of the program.
Perfect. Thank you, Rich. Okay, so additional contact information. Obviously, Richard, you have direct contact emails with everyone there, so he can be your go-to person to connect with our team, with me. If you want to take down my email address right there, it's Christian standard spelling at studyabroadassociation.com. I'm happy to assist in any way possible. Again, the reason why we're doing this is to share ideas, resources, and experiences. So do not hesitate to get in touch. You can explore our website. You can see sample itineraries. You can look at our social media, YouTube, see videos of these trips in action live. And please do not hesitate to reach out to us, because you are the engine behind these experiences, and without you, these experiences wouldn't be possible. So
Would you be willing to share this PowerPoint with us that we can post it as a PDF in our Blackboard shell?
100%, yes. And I also recorded the entire session, so thank you guys for maintaining good behavior. We'll be able to we can either put this on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel that's for workshops and stuff like this, so we can put that there and share the link with you, so you can share it with other faculty who maybe weren't able to attend, or you can you can refer back to it if you said if you want to recall things that we've gone over today. So yes, I will share the PowerPoint with you, and I'll also share the recorded version with you.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Give Kristen a round of applause and thank you.
Thank you guys for coming. Really, I appreciate you, and I'm very excited to hopefully work with you. And I'm really happy to see everybody in attendance, because you understand the value of these experiences for your students and for yourself to bring that back into the classroom. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, anything at all, let me know. Okay.
Are there any immediate questions that Christian can tackle?
There are samples of other programs that run specifically for curriculum.
Yes, I think I heard that if we can provide samples of similar itineraries that might go along with your area of study. Was that the question?
Right.
Can we find them on the site?
Absolutely, you can find them on the site, but the best thing to do is just to send me an email, because the site right now, we're continuing to develop it. And so you'll see a few itineraries and samples on there. However, if you let me know your area of focus, area of study, and what destination you'd like to go to, I can provide you better examples of programs that we're like actually running this year or that we ran last year. And I can send you those samples as well. So yeah, just shoot me an email. Let me know what you teach, where you'd like to go, and then I'll get you the best sample that we have to start as a base, and then we can modify from there or throw it away and create something entirely new for you.
Awesome.
Any other questions, guys? No?
Great.
Thank you so much for coming out, and have a beautiful Friday, and the weekend is almost here. All right.
Thank you. I'm popping in here to say thank you and goodbye. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Take care. And
Thanks, Christian. Appreciate it.
anytime, Rich.